Thousands of people in the Bay Area are still without power at this hour. PG&E started cutting electricity last night in areas with high fire danger.
Now, we're learning right now that the utility is flying helicopters in Marin to inspect its power lines, which is typically the final step before it turns those lights back on. Take a look at the current shutoff map. Those purple arrows indicate where the power has been shut off intentionally. Now, PG&E expects to restore power in some areas by 10 p.m. tonight. Some 90,000 customers currently impacted by this power shutoff. High winds overnight and today did lots of damage. Large tree branches came crashing down in Fremont and in Livermore. In fact, one tree blocked the lane on 580 right before the sun came up.
The wind's also threatening to spread some small fires that started popping up across the Bay Area. One of the most recent fires sparked a few hours ago off Highway 12 in Suisun City. We have team coverage tonight. We're going to begin with NBC Bay Area's Thom Jensen. He's in Lafayette. And Tom, about 17,000 customers have been without power since 8 last night in Contra Costa County.
Yeah, and there were some fires, but fortunately the winds were not as wickedly strong as some had predicted. However, PG&E just put out a notice to a lot of customers here in Lafayette who have lost power, thousands of people here, that their power will not be restored until tomorrow at least because of high winds. They said they were not able to get helicopters in to fly their equipment to make sure that there was no serious damage that could cause more fires. But also because there were not super strong winds like they had predicted, the firefighters were actually able to get on those fires and knock the ones down that did start. The homes in the hills around Contra Costa County and the people who live there are of major concern for fire officials.
The fuel moisture conditions are at historic lows and critically stressed.
The risk of fire in these crispy hillsides remains extremely high in what is already a record fire season. And people who live up those winding wooded roads were given an ominous warning last night.
There was a little notice saying, you know, voluntary evacuation if you wanted, but we actually hadn't thought about it until then.
And just after 8 o'clock, power went out across vast areas of the county where those fire risks were the highest, with many people like Landy Rath deciding to load up her car with ice and batteries and ride out the winds and the power outage.
I think it's well worth it. Yeah, a fire would be devastating. It would just hurt too many people.
Rath says she's been through dozens of outages, 4 already this year, and luckily, fire has never gotten close to her home. Fortunately, firefighters were also able to stop every fire last night before they got too big, partially because the winds never got out of hand either.
The fires that have started have been challenging, but not exceeded our capabilities.
So for now, people doing what they can to save their homes and businesses from fire and wait out the inconvenience of living without power. Fire Captain George Lang said he will not breathe a sigh of relief until there is a lot of rain for a good period of time. It's just so crispy up in these hillsides.
Very dry, Tom. We've had these power shutoffs by PG&E 2 years in a row. This is basically just to buy the utility time to upgrade their power lines and secure them. How much longer are we going to have to endure these PSPSs?
Our investigative unit was actually looking into that. In court records, they found that PG&E CEO said that the company largely plans to eliminate these power shutoffs within 5 years, but that means over the next 4 years, they've got to do a lot of work up in the hillsides, not only here in Contra Costa County, but all around the region, improving the power equipment and also clearing brush and trees away from power lines.
Okay, thanks so much, Thom Jensen. Well, we have an update on a fire